we're going to start off with a topic called Stranger Things and Technology. And there's actually some crazy things happening right now in California.
Yes, actually, Bloomberg recently released an article called Coming Soon to California, Cars Without Humans Behind the Wheel. California took another step towards permitting the testing of self-driving vehicles without a human driver, continuing a shift away from previous policies that companies criticized as being overly restrictive. The proposed rules would also allow companies to introduce self-driving vehicles that can be used by the general public.
Now, we have a company called Tesla, which they have a vehicle that actually drives itself, but you still have to have an operator inside the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
So this will actually make it so where there doesn't have to be any human inside the vehicle at all?
Right.
That's absolutely... Well, what does that mean for, people in the future if they want to get somewhere, and if there's like a catastrophe, an event? We see things happening right now, like people in California with the fires. They're getting in their cars, they're going and they're trying to get out of the way. But what does that mean? Would the government or would the state be able to shut down cars in emergencies so that highways aren't jam-packed?
I mean, I definitely think that's a very possibility. I think when we look at technology today, we're seeing like the involvement that people actually have the ability that they probably could shut things down. If it's communicating, it's probably also receiving. So if it's sending something, it's also probably receiving something. So I think there potentially could be an on and off switch.
Well, we've heard of stories of even nowadays in 2017 and in the last few years of electric cars and more cars that are cars that are more technologically advanced getting hacked into and veering off the road and
shut off. Yeah.
If we see cars that are fully self-sufficient in a way, what does that mean for anyone who gets in that vehicle?
I've often wondered that same question because we look at the NSA. The NSA has a hard enough time keeping their own secrets. We've even seen within like the last year, North Korea has actually hacked our military and come up with plans that South Korea and the U.S. were working together in trying to assassinate Kim Jong-un. So now they've actually hacked that information. So you have to wonder, is your cell phone safe? Will in the future your car be safe?
Your phone, most time. I mean, I'm pretty sure that these Tesla cars have microphones in them. Of course,
because they have Bluetooth.
Yeah. So you can talk, which is convenient.
Keeps you safe on the road.
Yeah, but if they want to listen into a conversation of a person or
if they want to gather information, they're going to. That's the bottom line.
It feels like we're just giving away rights for convenience sake. It feels like we're building this like dependability on technology. Like you'll even see like people with the Alexa thing, like that have like, oh, Alexa, lock my doors to my house. Like you're just giving away all of this, like all of your like rights just for the sake of convenience.
Hey, you know what? I can't lie. I actually have an Alexa in my house, and this is the crazy thing. The other day I was on the phone. I was having a conversation with a friend, and actually in the middle of the conversation, Alexa goes, "I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Could you say it again?" And it clicked. This thing is always listening to me. And so it has a little red mute button, but I was baffled by this.
Yeah.
So my friend on the phone, they were joking, and they said, "Shut up, Alexa." And Alexa said, and it went bloop, and it powered down. And as a joke, I said, "I'm sorry she said that to you, Alexa." And Alexa goes, "It's okay."
No!
I was like, oh my goodness, that's really... So I have it on mute all the time now. I'm like, that's really weird.
Like I've even seen an article recently saying you need to check out your phone and make sure that Siri you can actually turn it off, because apparently it can always be listening, and if it's always listening, it's actually logging everything you're saying. It is cell phone conversation and text.
They say it's because it's listening for the words "Hey Alexa," so it's always.
Or Siri.
But the thing is, I don't like that. Or sorry, excuse me, not "Hey Alexa," "Hey Siri."
Either or.
But I don't like that it's always listening. And you said it's logging information. Right. Privacy seems like it's going to be obsolete in the future. And the fact that they're trying to get away from cars, I mean, that's convenient, I guess, in a way, but it seems like we're going to lose, the freedom that we have. I mean, even Paris right now is talking about banning a combustion engine.
Oh, yeah. This is actually a new story. Paris wants to ban the combustion engine by 2030.
Oh, that's only 13 years away. People, for some reason, I'm even guilty of this. Sometimes when I hear like 2025, 2030, I'm like, okay, that's a far away. And then I put it into perspective and I realize, oh my goodness, that's right around the corner.
Actually, according to Wired, Brooke actually found this just a little bit before we came out here. Excuse me, Bridget. Thank you for doing this. But according to Wired, countries and municipalities like the UK, Norway, France, Netherlands, India, and China have all made similar pledges. They're going to kick their gasoline-powered car habit in the next few decades, which explains why the state of California is also shouting "Me too."
Yeah.
That means a huge shift to electronic vehicles.
Yeah.
That also means a huge shift of dependency on the government because they'll be the ones providing.
Also, once again, the EMP, the hacking, it's literally makes it where like your car is literally accessible to anybody.
Now, John, you actually read an article called "The End of the Road."
Yeah, this is actually bringing up, I think a huge issue that a lot of people are truly concerned about. Now, last year, more than 275,000 Chinese, 238 Indians, and 33,000 Americans died in preventable traffic accidents. So I see this whole thing moving in this direction rather rapidly because of safety and obviously issues of control. So we've even seen, like you were just talking about that previous article, is this the end? And the one thing that we all have to wonder about is, what does this look like for jobs? There's 1.7 million people in this world, or actually just within the United States, that are truck drivers, and over like 1.8 million are, do other types of drivings, from UPS to like door-to-door services such as taxis, Uber, all those things. So they're talking about all of those people will actually end up losing their job to automated services.
I don't understand how we in America want to build jobs for America, make America wealthy, make America prosperous, but we rip jobs away from our fellow brothers.
Well, that's 3
and
million
sisters.
jobs I just listed right there.
And what are those people going to do? Because
Right.
the government can't take care of everybody. So what are those people going to do when their jobs are legitimately taken from them? I don't think they'll have an option at that point.
Right.
What do they do? Are they homeless? Are they, how do they pay their bills?
Truly, a lot of people are concerned about this because that would be 1.7 million semi-truck drivers that at best become a co-pilot to a automated system that drives your semi. I would even see it. Remember like the old train in the Old West? It's like your conductor no longer actually drives anything, but in this case, he's just there as security to make sure that the goods in the back of the truck actually get to where they're supposed to go.
Now we've seen instances with planes like this that in certain instances with cars that if there wasn't a human behind the wheel, the machine wouldn't have been able to calculate and make the decision that the human had made.
Yeah.
There's been situations like that with what happened in the Hudson Bay. Yeah, I don't believe any type of AI, any type of machine, any type of technology would have been able to calculate and so perfectly land it like that man did, because honestly, it took everything he had to figure that
There's
out.
these small situation, I got miracle situations that only the human brain, I think, can understand.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the thing is,
Because they tried that over and over in flight simulators
Yeah,
and
and
stuff,
it
and
doesn't
they
work.
couldn't
Yeah.
land it.
it doesn't work. Because the thing is, it's like there's a part where emotion and a part where the human brain and empathy works in that moment to make a decision to a safely decision.
Exactly, because the human brain goes, what about the other people?
Exactly.
What about this? What about that? But an AI or a machine just says, how can I just land this? How can I just maneuver out of the way quickly without really concern for life?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say this too. Google, Uber, and Tesla are three of the biggest manufacturers that are pushing in this futuristic direction that will eventually end up replacing people, with this automated driving system. But we're also seeing artificial intelligence pop up in your home, security systems, your air conditioning system, your pretty much it's over to it vacuums your floor now.
It seems like, we're replacing everything with technology, even to the point where we're trying to replace God with technology.
Right. And, you even brought up these, shall I say, sex robots that have consistently been showing up like in different news reports and lifestyles. And we've even talked about on the show before the TV show Westworld, this new movie that just came out, Blade Runner, which to me, it's like you're seeing it in the news and now we're seeing it in our entertainment. They're obviously trying to condition our mind to be more accepting to
And then there was
Yes.
another show called Black Mirror, and there was an episode where this woman's husband passed away. She got an AI, an artificial intelligence of her husband, looked like him, talked like him, acted like him, and the more that she was with him, it became like him, even to the point where in a part of the episode they begin to have sexual relations, and she thought it was him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, I'm not one for big conspiracies, but they're trying to normalize AI in our life. So when one day it does pop up in our physical, actual lives, it's very normal.
Well,
and it's just right around the corner. And they're saying
Right.
they can replace God with AI.
Right.
it even goes back to scripture about like how it says like people's hearts are gonna go cold, and like we are just like we're becoming like so self-reliant that we don't have love for another person. And like sex is supposed to be with someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like
With your husband or with your wife.
with your wife, with your husband, and it's like if we can just do it by ourselves, we don't really have the
Well,
need.
they kill intimacy. And if you don't
yeah.
have that intimacy, then you're yourself going to become like a robot.
We see it in the porn industry.
Mm-hmm.
So you take that into a thing that looks like a girl or looks like a man or something that looks like a sexual partner.
Yeah.
Then it even more
Yeah.
takes
Now-
away.
Let me comment on this because Reuters actually had an article that they just put out, which actually really surprised me. So the author, Dan Brown, wrote, turning to the future, Brown said technological change and development of artificial intelligence would transform the concept of the divine. We will start to find our spiritual experiences through our interconnection with each other, he said, forecasting the emergence of some form of global consciousness that we perceive and become as our divine. Now, our need for the exterior God that sits up there and judges us will diminish and eventually disappear. So that's what they're talking about. Like I look at this, it's like a collective consciousness, everybody thinking the same way. It's like we're really being told how to think by maybe this artificial, because we've even talked about in weeks past, people hooking up their brains, basically being able to upgrade the brain that you have by connecting it to a computer. And here he's even saying that in the future, there will be no God. There will be no need for a God because we will be our own God and we'll make these artificial intelligence in our own image.
Okay, there's this episode of Black Mirror, what we had referenced earlier. It's called San Junipero, and they could literally upload their consciousness to the cloud when they died. And it doesn't seem like that's like so
Too
out of
far
the
off,
realm
yeah.
of imagination.
We see drug addiction and we see things like that happening in the United States and other parts of the world. And honestly, a lot of people get addicted to psychedelics because they want to experience that higher spiritual power and they want to experience it within themselves and they want to get a taste of that and a glimpse of that. And honestly, I believe and I predict if AI becomes a normal thing, that there will be AI addiction where we will want to experience that.
yeah.
We'll want to experience that feeling, that motive with them. And so we are going to lose human connection and we're going to become addicted to AI.
Yeah, well, hey, if I can actually, I don't know if you guys saw her movie Her, but in that movie, spoilers, near the end, eventually all the AIs find each other, and they form a single consciousness. And what you're speaking to about here in this article, I mean, what's really saying is that we start making the judgments, we make the rules and everything together as a consciousness together as one, and that becomes the God that we listen to. What makes our day-to-day decisions and everything, that is this one consciousness.
I've always believed that movies and television shows and the things we watch and the things that are always thrown in front of our faces aren't just for fun and not just games, and it's not just something that someone made up, but it's truly so that we start to become desensitized to issues like this and we start to normalize things like this, because if it happens, it'll be just such a normal thing we're used to seeing. And so it's a way for them to kind of indoctrinate without indoctrinating us into these kind of societies and world and lifestyles.
The Bible even talks about there coming a time where, humankind is going to reject God.
They'll be lovers
and they're
of
gonna,
themselves.
they'll be, yeah, exactly. We'll be lovers of ourselves. We'll make things in our own image. We'll praise our own accomplishments over His creation.
And that's why we love AI so much, because it is something that we made in our own image. God made us in His image, but we're trying to make something in our image, because at that point, what do we become?
God.
We become gods.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy to me, is that our society is so enthralled with, I mean, honestly, not all of them, but a big part of it is enthralled with not loving God anymore, but we still want to become a God.
Yeah.
I mean, you even see, let's just be real, you see atheists, and I bet they would still love an AI, or they'd still love making something like this, and they'd still love, because everybody desires to have the feeling of being needed. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what, if you have a relationship with Christ, that's what you get, that feeling. You get that satisfaction because God is gracious to us. He allows us to be used, even our imperfections. I mean, I'm sitting up here with all my imperfections, and God still allows me every week to come up here and present to you guys because he is gracious. He's good to us. But we are replacing God with something that is so fake, and the devil is going to deceive us. And even the Bible says that, you know, these false prophets and these false teachers will even try to deceive the elect. And a lot of people think that means it's going to be pastors and, you know, evangelists coming to our churches and deceiving us. But even these type of things can pop up as false prophets and, you know, false teachers, because they're going to be trying to teach us a message, and they're going to try to even deceive the elect if possible.
Yeah.
And I mean, the elect is people who have been saved in the salvation of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to deceive us with this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just like, you know, we're talking about the end times and Revelation in the news constantly. And I think this is honestly another sign of where we really are at. I think if we talked about this, you know, 30, 40 years ago, it would be honestly hard to comprehend and understand where we are today. If you told somebody like in the 70s or 60s that this is what the future would be, I mean, I remember 1985 when Back to the Future came out, or when the original Blade Runner came out.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just so far out there. It was so unrealistic to try and comprehend. I mean, this is like reality today is almost like becoming a bad Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah.
It is.
They were saying that's how the first Blade Runner was set in 2017, which is now.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, it's like we're all thinking so far fetched, but now it's to this point where
The thing is that
It's here.
the government only allows us to see so much. They're not going to give all the information. So whenever you see glimpses of things that are like, whoa, they have that, just remember, they have so much more than that. They're only giving it to us as much as they think we can handle it.
and also to a point, it's like, but who says that the coming of the Antichrist or something like that won't come in forms of AI or things like
Yeah, someone that could understand everything and have, you know,
Yeah,
be a worldwide, exactly. They could have a consciousnly that supports everybody.
Imagine false prophets or even things like the Antichrist. Maybe AI beings like look like looking like us.
I mean,
Why
it's
not?
crazy to think what's happening in the end times, and that we get the opportunity, and God picked us in this moment to live right now, to proclaim the gospel, to proclaim the good news, because that's really what we're here for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an honor to be put in this time and period and be given a platform like this to be able to share with you guys. And listen, you don't have to be on a stage in front of a camera to have a platform. Talk to your friends. Keep giving them information. They may call you crazy. They may think you're weird. I mean, I know I have a lot of friends on Facebook. When I give my opinion, they don't agree with me, but that's okay, because I'm getting a message that I know God wants relayed in these last days out to the people. I mean, people are going to mock you. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to make fun of you. But I promise you, it's so worth it. It's always worth it in the end, because God is good, and he only does good. I mean, the world's going crazy, but he is good. I mean, even in our own state in Missouri right now, we have a senator that we talked about a few months ago that she called for the assassination of President Trump. She got some backlash, but she came back again with some more hatred towards Donald Trump. And this is something that she posted to her page. And here's a picture that she posted. So as you can see here, what it is there was a Dove commercial that showed and it had some controversy because people cut it up and they made it look worse than it was. It was a white woman, or excuse me, it was a black woman, and she took off her brown shirt, and then it was a white woman with a, you know, like a beige shirt underneath it. And so people were outraged, and they were saying, that, you know, it's showing that you're clean if you're white and you're taking off your black. But me and S, we actually both saw the entire thing, and that's not what it was. After the white woman, there was a Latina woman that came up to it. So they took it out of context, but this woman decided to say, you know, this is Donald Trump and this is who he actually really is. I don't understand when people compare Donald Trump to Hitler, but they also say the government needs to take away all the weapons and all the, you know, the rifles and all. So why do they want Hitler to have all the guns?
Right.
Why it seems like they don't put things together, and they just talk before they actually research and look into things. Would you, I mean, legitimately, would you want Hitler to have all your weapons?
Well, this is funny because this is actually, I mean, if you know history, that's what Hitler tried to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Hitler tried to take all the weapons.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why he tried to take the weapons is to make the country weaker so he can have more control.
And listen, I understand we need to have gun bans on certain things, and civilians don't need fully automatic rifles. I think we should regulate bump stocks that make semi-automatic rifles like fully automatic rifles. But the thing is, the fact that President Trump wants to protect that and our citizenship, because our right to bear arms and that right that we given is actually to protect us from the government.
Right.
That's what that originally was for, and that's why I think that we should support the right for civilians to have weapons. I'm not saying crazy RPG type weapons that are fully automatic, any fully automatic rifles, but we should, hand grenades, like we should regulate, but we should, support that right to have these weapons, because what it boils down to is it is our right to protect ourselves from the government.
That's one thing I've actually never really waved on was all I believe is I do even carrying weapons. I just believe that maybe you should look at the persons, make sure that they
psychological test.
Okay, don't give them a full AK-47.
Yeah.
And give them stay safe, keep your family safe.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point is being able to, the Second Amendment, to be able to bear your own arms is to be able to protect yourself from the government, from a higher power, from any foreign government. And that's what I also find interesting is other governments are trying to weigh in on whether we as citizens should have that right to bear arms here in the States. Why are other countries saying maybe they shouldn't? Maybe Americans shouldn't have the right to have rifles and handguns.
A weak America is what a lot of countries want. And honestly, if you take the guns away from all the citizens, we will become a very weak America. I mean, right now we see one country in particular that continues to slam Donald Trump, continues to say that Donald Trump is provoking war, and that is North Korea. And honestly, the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un is crazy, but he's not stupid. People think he's not capable of launching a missile over to the United States, but he is very much so capable of that. Yes, he is crazy, and I think he's crazy enough to do that. And he was saying, I mean, even at the President Donald Trump's UN speech, the fact that President Donald Trump called him Rocket Man, he made some other comments. He's saying those were acts of war. I mean, what is it that it takes words to trigger a man to kill, tens and tens and thousands, potentially millions of people? Like, what has to be going on in the mind of a person? I mean, there's some facts we even wrong on of North Korea. I mean, just 6 months ago, experts thought North Korea's nuclear arsenal was primitive. Some academics claiming that it had as few as 6 A-bombs. And now the intelligence community reportedly estimates that North Korea actually has 60 nuclear weapons. I mean, just 6 months ago, most experts thought North Korea's ICBMs were fake, or if they were real, they couldn't strike the U.S. mainland. Now the intelligence community reportedly estimates that North Korea's ICBMs can strike Denver and Chicago and perhaps the entire United States. I mean, we've heard Washington, New York City, so that's the entire United States. Now get this, just 6 months ago, most experts thought North Korea was years away from having an H-bomb, but now it appears that North Korea has H-bombs comparable to the sophisticated U.S. two-stage thermonuclear weapons. Just 6 months ago, most experts claimed that North Koreans' ICBMs could not miniaturize in an A-bomb design or reentry vehicle that could give missile delivery, but they have that. I mean, now the intelligence community reportedly the assets of North Korea has miniaturized nuclear weapons, and they've developed reentry vehicles for the missile delivery, and that includes ICBMs that can strike the United States. The thing is, a few months ago we were saying North Korea's a joke. They don't have this. They can't. They're years away from this.
Right.
But now we're seeing that they actually have all these things. They're capable of it, and I don't believe they're doing this on their own. They're getting funding. They're getting other people that are helping them get the materials for these ICBMs and these other missiles like Iran. They're having other countries support them. But why are they supporting such a crazy madman? And why were we so off with North Koreans? Why are we so off thinking that they didn't have any of this kind of stuff?
I think one thing is that I think that there, I mean, like we've said before, there's another country out there somewhere that is using Kim Jong as a weapon himself, saying like, okay, here's all the materials, here's everything else. We can't do it because we need to look good. But if you do it, then
so they're feeding into his craziness.
He's a tool, he's a weapon.
Can I say that? Could it be possible that country could be the United States for the last 25 years that's been paying them money and been furthering along and kicking this whole problem down the road for somebody else to deal with? Could we be a part of that issue? Now let's keep going here, because Kim Jong-un wants to thump Trump for calling him a rocket man. Now, this is also a guy who kills his own people
Yeah.
for the things that they say, for the things that they mutter in their secret and private places.
He killed his own brother.
People.
Oh yeah.
Not even his own people, his own family.
Yeah.
Didn't he kill his own brother? And he told the people that were going to kill him it was a prank.
So when Kim Jong-un wants to
that's
threaten the United
terrifying.
States and he kills his own people for saying such things that maybe they don't agree with him, I think we should take that very seriously.
Absolutely. I mean, after massive intelligence failures grossly underestimating North Korea's long-range missile capability, the number of nuclear weapons, warhead miniaturization, and proximity to the H-bomb, the biggest North Korean threat to the United States remains unacknowledged. I mean, an EMP attack.
Yes.
He's killing off his own people. He's starving his own people. You know, we should be very concerned about that because we want to help the North Korean people. I mean, I love the fact that the United States, we don't want to go in there and kill a bunch of innocent people. That is not what we want to do. But the thing is, he's killing his own people. We need to have him stopped. But in the meantime, we can't forget the fact that he has a threat like an EMP on us.
Yeah.
Now let's jump back to the beginning of the show. Vehicles that don't require humans.
I know.
Things that don't require humans, AIs, everything's so dependent on technology, but at any moment, an EMP attack. I mean, even a congressman said recently 90% of Americans would die within the first year of an EMP attack. And I believe North Korea has an EMP attack ready, but they're just waiting on what they consider the right moment. 90% of America. That is absolutely, that's going to be mayhem. That's not only going to be through starvation, but that's going to be through us killing ourselves over our food. Because, I mean, let's be real. Most Americans don't know how to go out and grow their own food.
Yeah.
Most Americans don't know how to fend for themselves. What they'll do, they'll steal, kill, and destroy, just like, you know, like a lion seeking whoever they can devour so that they can stay healthy and wealthy and well in these times and moments. I mean, that is absolutely terrifying.
They had that show called Revolution. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
Where all of the lights go out and everything becomes very like post-apocalyptic. Like they have to kill their own food. They have to. It's just like, it's not like, oh, the lights just went out. It's like all of your resources, everything. Nothing's being made anymore, manufactured.
And that's another example of television kind of slowly
it's like predicting
getting us used to these type of events. So if it does happen, yes, it'll obviously be devastating, and yes, it will be a major shock to the United States, but we can almost say, this sounds like something we already knew about.
Well, you know, with what you're saying, the funny thing, too, is they also make fun of what do you call doomsday preppers?
Yeah.
Anybody, I mean, but who's laughing now with the fires going on in California, Puerto Rico, Florida, Texas, all these different places, even like we've seen around the world, other like major devastation.
Mexico earthquakes. I mean,
who's laughing? Venezuela's trying to get food.
Yeah.
And, you know, here we are trying to encourage people to prepare because of the times we're living in. It's like Revelation in the news. It's like just flip it on. It's proving itself that it's currently happening now. Yeah. Don't wait.
A lot of people are making fun of the doomsday preppers, and they'll continue to make fun of the doomsday preppers. Now, I don't like to refer to ourselves as doomsday preppers because that is not going to be a day of doom when the Lord returns. That's going to be a glorious day. But there are going to be trials and there are going to be tribulations that come before that day happens. Now, I want to encourage you today, if you don't know Jesus Christ, if you don't have a relationship with him, please take the first step of faith and get into that relationship. If you want to call Morningside Church, feel free. If you want to email us, if you want to write us, anything to take that first step of faith so that when all this craziness is happening, you have a place of security. You have a place to put your foot that you know is solid ground. Please get in a good Bible-believing church with other believers who are like-minded in unity with you that want to see the return of the Lord. And they know that, yes, tribulations will happen, but we ultimately obtain the victory because God is good and that he is going to return soon and very soon. So, you know, if you don't have supplies, honestly, make sure to be spiritually ready and equipped, the full armor of God. That is hands down, the most important thing you can do. But also, make sure you have food supplies, water supplies. You know, make sure you don't just have enough food in your house for a week or maybe even a month, because we don't know if an EMP goes off, how long the power will be off. Make sure you have food. I mean, we have supplies here. You can go to thejimbakershow.com. I'll give a shameless plug. They have all types of things you need for essentials to survive in case of an EMP attack, or even, let's say, I mean, practical stuff. If you lose your job and you don't have money right now, these are very practical ways to get prepared for any type of situation. So please make sure to check that out. But like I said, the most important thing, make sure your heart is right with God. Look for the signs of the times. Look for everything happening. Watch the news and try to see where it lines up with the Bible, because right now, more than ever, it lines up perfectly with the Word of God. But until next time, this is Revelation in the News. So thank you for watching.